Deviji, you need slightly better light on your face.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to this second edition of the National Awareness Campaign on Organ Donation, organized by the Institute of Medicine and Law. My name is Ravindra Mangal, and I happen to be the Executive Director of the Institute of Medicine and Law. It is my proud privilege to welcome all the panelists to this session and to welcome all the viewers online who are viewing this session live. We have today the chairperson amongst us, Justice Ravi Tripathi ji, who is the chairman of the Gujarat State Human Rights Commission and a former judge of the Gujarat High Court. We also have Dr. Bhagwat Karad, who is a member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, and who is very passionate about the subject of organ donation. Just to give you a very brief idea, in India, there is a growing need of organ and tissue transplants due to a large number of organ failures. Incidentally, the total number of brainstem deaths that are happening due to accidents is more than 1.5 lakhs per annum, besides other causes. Yet, the rate of organ donation remains at 0.86 per million population, and barely 2 to 3% of the current demand is met. Hence, we felt a grave need to organize these sessions to create awareness about the need for organ donation. With these few words, I hand over the proceedings of the day to Mr. Sundarajan, who is the CEO of the Institute of Medicine and Law. Over to you, Mr. Sundarajan.
Thank you very much, Raviji. On the 5th of July this year, the Institute of Medicine and Law conducted the 5th National Convention on Medicine and Law, an annual event which we conduct every year. There were two sessions, one on telemedicine and the second on organ donation and the MedLegal problems or the medical legal problems that plague these two. We held a subsequent national consultation on telemedicine. But for organ donation, we felt that the problems were numerous and the problems changed between regions. So we have started a MedLegal awareness program, which will not only create awareness, but also try to resolve some of the MedLegal issues at a regional level. So as part of our 10-city series of programs, which will last through the next 8 to 12 months. We conducted our first session on the 15th of December with Ahmedabad, and today is our second session at Hyderabad. So welcome to all of you. And I would like to invite first Mr. Mahendra Kumar Bajpai, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, and Honorary Director of the Institute of Medicine and Law. A stalwart in his field, a flag bearer as far as medical laws are concerned, and a person very passionate about the subject. So, Mr. Mahendra Kumar Bajpai, please welcome.
Thank you, Sundar sir, for those kind words. Dear friends, a very good morning. Before proceeding further, let us understand about the National Convention of Medicine and Law and the White Paper. Both happen to be the foundation of our meeting today. Institute of Medicine and Law is in medical laws for the last 14 years. We organize, analyze, and simplify legal information and knowledge to reduce medical errors. Being law professionals working in medicine, we realized that there are bad laws and even no laws, and that too on a subject as critical as healthcare. The only way to address this gap was to discuss, deliberate, and form public opinion. We are a functional democracy after all. So in 2015, we organized the first National Convention on Medicine and Law And this year in July, we have organized the 5th convention. In this annual event, doctors, lawyers, academicians, hospital administrators, the policymakers, the regulators, they come together. They discuss, they deliberate on the gaps in laws and the ways and means to overcome them. This discussion culminates in a white paper that is widely circulated and is an acknowledged and revered document in India today. The white paper of 2020 convention, as shared by Mr. Sundararajan, was released day before yesterday in Ahmedabad. This meeting is an effort to take this white paper forward, to create further awareness and to explore ways and means to make organ donation easier, a topic that was discussed in this year's convention. We intend to organize many more such meetings across the country on organ donation in the days to come. Friends, organ donation is a vital issue in healthcare today. No one will disagree. But as lawyer, let me share with you that law has a big challenge as far as organ donation is concerned. The fact remains that it happens to be a donation, a voluntary act. There can be no element of force, no intimidation, no commercialization. How do we promote organ donation then? And friends, today we have a distinguished panel of really eminent persons who will throw light on this subject. I will only speak on one recommendation of the white paper that is very close to my heart. The lack of a single definition of death in India. We in fact have two definitions of death. There is one definition that is there in the Registration of Birth and Death Act. It says death is permanent disappearance of all evidence of life after birth. But when we come to organ transplant, there happens to be a Transplantation of Human Organs Act. And that act says that a brainstem dead person also is dead and organs can be retrieved from. What the law says, that is medically correct. The irreversible process has started. It can't be reversed. Although all evidences of life have not disappeared. The person may be breathing, but the condition is irreversible. Now, what happens is, this definition of brainstem death is applicable only if transplant of human organs is going to happen, not otherwise. There have been instances where patients' relatives have given consent. Doctors have conducted the apnea test, the confirmatory test, and even certified death. And after that, they have changed their mind. A dead person becomes alive in the eyes of law. This needs to be changed, not only for organ donation, but even for another reason. Let us not forget that India happens to be a developing country. We have limited resources. A person who, according to medical science, is dead, he cannot come back, keeps on occupying the ventilators, even in public health facilities. And probably another person who could have been saved does not get that ventilator. Friends, Gujarat and Kerala are the two states who have brought in the required statutory change. There is a need to bring this change at the national level. Let there be one definition of death. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bajpai ji, for those nice words. You have set the context properly, the release of the white paper and the need for determination of a uniform code for that. As once I was reminded by Ratna Devi ji that patients must always come first. So today we are changing our format, and we would first want to welcome the patients to talk about their ordeal. We want to listen to them first before we proceed forward. I would first like to welcome Mr. Venkata, who is a patient awaiting kidney transplant. And I would like to hear from you, Mr. Venkata, about the problems that you are undergoing, or what have you seen in your journey towards getting a kidney transplant. Mr. Venkata, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is, as mentioned, I'm Mr. Venkata Satish here. I'm delighted and honored to be here. I'm a 40-year-old and an IT architect by profession who has been on CKD stage 5 and is suffering with a kidney failure and has been in dialysis in the past 6 years. When I was first diagnosed with kidney failure, I was really devastated and my whole life turned upside down. It is important to remember that treatment does not cure kidney failure, as many of you know. Although medical advances have been made in the treatment of kidney and urinary tract diseases, the upper part of it is this: the emotional effects of kidney failure on patients and their families remain great because many areas of everyday life are really affected in this way. That's what I can really say. So I felt that learning that a dialysis or a transplant will be needed can be overwhelming at first, but normal activities were slowly resumed, and I found it is a phase of life that I have to go through that for that reason. I started my treatment on CAPD initially when I first came across this failure of my kidneys, and I continued for about a year and moved to hemodialysis, which I regularly now undergo 3 times on a weekly basis in order to maintain my health and other conditions for that reason. I've enrolled in Jivandan, the cadaver program, and I'm waiting to undergo for a kidney transplant. Although I feel that many medical advances have been made, we have been aware that a period of waiting will be necessary if the kidney is to come from a non-living donor. I've been waiting patiently since the last 6 years, and due to COVID this year, I know things have a little bit changed a lot. And I believe that once the transplantations have now been resumed, I hope to soon get a kidney at the earliest. That's what I hope for, really. So I also feel that the main goal are that one should be waiting for a kidney transplant is that you try to increase your knowledge about the transplant and maintain your physical health in order to get a transplant and you be healthy at that time for that reason. So that's what I can really say in a nutshell. But overall, I would like to sincerely request everyone to come forward and spread the importance of organ donation. The cadaver organ donation improves others' quality of life and will help saves of life people who are in really need of it. Everybody has a need for that reason. And I feel that this is the best way of spreading the word. At a time, one can be very difficult to get through many cadaver donor families coming forward, and some will not be willing to do that. But I sincerely request and urge everyone to save and help other lives. So I urgently request everyone to kindly come forward and spread the awareness in this regard, which is of great help in need of organ transplant as you are giving a new life. These are some of the things what I've really faced with all these kind of issues. But I sincerely hope I'll come with flying colors in this regard and get a transplant at the earliest. So that's what I can say. I would like to thank everybody for giving me an opportunity to speak in this regard. And I hope I'll really take the questions if there's anybody else that doesn't have question and answers for that reason. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Venkata, for sharing your side of the story. And of course, we hope and pray that you get an organ very soon.
Thank you, sir.
This is the prime reason why we have all joined here today. Now, let us hear from another patient who has successfully received a transplant. And I would like to hear from you, Mr. Satyanarayan, on if you had to undergo any problems or what was your experience through the journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Narajan, and also Mr. Ravindra Mangal and my Dr. Somlata, and other panel members here. Namaste to everybody. I think I'm not able to see my full view. I don't know.
We can see you and hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for inviting me to share my experiences as a transplant patient. I think it's mostly due to Dr. Samlata. I think my name has been included. I thank her because she has been my doctor for the last 2 decades. Since I started going to NIMS for consultation. I'm 72 years old now, but I've come to know this problem in 1975 when I was in Shillong. I was posted in Shillong. I was working in Jalasburg, South India. That is central government organization. Basically, I'm a geologist or a scientist, whatever you say. Most of the time, we used to roam in jungles, hills, to look for various minerals, rock types, and other allied things. Some of you are quite aware of this geologist program. So when it was identified as a nephritis or something, nephritic syndrome or other things, I was told by the then doctor, Dr. Nath in Shillong General Hospital, his surgeon. He suggested, I was going to him for my problem. Then suddenly one day I had swelling, face swelling, black stool, leg swelling and other things. He said, immediately join a hospital. But he gave some medicines. Next day my BP has come down, other things have come down or something like that. Since then, I've been following up case after my transfer to Shillong, the remote area those days, 1970s, medical facilities are not that good. When I was transferred to Hyderabad, then I was attending to Usmania Hospital, then taking sessions from different doctors. One Dr. Deshpande, I remember very well, Dr. Anuradha, some other doctor. And subsequently attended many doctors. One Dr. Dinakar, physician, here who now works in Sunshine Hospital, Hyderabad. Like that, but when those days initially, when the checkup was done, at that time I was in Kurnool, nephrology unit. That time it was a creatinine is only 1.75. When Dr. Venkateswamy said, you take care of your health and other things, he has given a lot of suggestions. Then I started attending the Usmania Hospital. Then finally, when the creatinine has gone to 7 or something like that, then the process started looking for a donor and other things. Then Dr. Darshanamurthy, the unit head of nephrology in the NIMS, and Dr. Samlata and others, they were following up the total case. They said, you look for a donor. So my next brother was ready to donate, but his group matching was not there, and he was diabetic also. Then the other next brother, youngest brother, he came to know about my problem through a friend. He immediately phoned me that, brother, do you want a kidney? I'm told by one of your friends. Yes, I want a kidney, but how can I ask you? If it's a loan for 1 lakh rupees or 10,000 rupees, I can ask you, but not a kidney. Can you give a kidney? I cannot ask. But he was not knowing his blood group. Finally got tested. It's found to be A positive. My same group as mine. Then so he came to Hyderabad. In fact, he ran coming to Hyderabad. Then got all the tests done. Then what is that? Cross matching, HLA, and all these related tests. Then doctors decided, yes, you can now you go for this. But the Dr. Darshanamurthy, for somehow I was knowing him because we had from the same college in Elur. But he was younger to me by 3-4 years. He was telling me, Sachan Garu will not do any transplant for you because you are 63. I said, how is it, sir? You have been following my case for the last few years. Now you say you will not do any transplant for me. Then I took up the case of former CM, Mari Channareddy. I think he had transplant about 65, at the age of 65 or something like that. I was not knowing. Then he laughed at me and said, okay, yeah, we'll go for transplant because you don't have much other complications. You believe, all the panelists will believe me, nobody in my family, my parents' side and my wife's side, they were not knowing that I was a kidney patient having problems with kidney. So also my close colleagues, except 2, 3, no other was knowing in my office that I was, because I was normally I was going to my field work, outdoor work, to even in Bhutan, Himalayas. I worked at the age of around 50 or so. I was working even at the higher altitudes, like 16, 17,000 feet altitude. I was working also. I had some problems in the sense higher BP and other related things, but I was never left my medication, because one thing is that without doctor's advice, I never took a medicine except paracetamol. That's what Samalata used to tell me. I'm just getting tears because the care they have taken, I cannot forget. But she says, the care you have taken, I mean to say, your wife has taken, your family has taken, or other things, your physical exercise, or that has helped you. But always I give my respect to my medical doctors, always. The one thing is, I would like to say that I never felt it's my problem. It's the problem of doctors. I never gone into depression or something like that, but I used to think, why, despite of some good habits I had, why this has affected me. Only once I saw the websites about the kidney and other things, then they said kidney failure may lead to death and other things. Then I stopped reading about this. About other things, I used to look into website, but not this kidney. I always think it's the doctor's problem. It's not my problem, because I've not invented it and I've not got it because of my any of my mistakes in daily routine life and other things. Anyhow, I was only under dialysis only for 3 weeks before transplant. Only 3 weeks. That is because of some change in the transplant date and other things. Finally, the transplant took on 21st July 2011. Now the transplant is 10 years old. 10 years old. So it is stable because of the care taken by the Dr. Lata and other team members in the nephrology unit. And I didn't have really any major complications. Everything was going good because the creatinine levels are good, other things are good because of various things, whether my taking care or taking care of my wife or my doctors, whatever may be. I'm happy, but I'm continuing even after retirement also. I've been doing consultancy in different states. I've done consultancy in other countries on geological matters, mineral exploration matters and other things. I'm very happy. I did see my doctor even a week back also, last week also, on other things. But there are minor problems, but transplant itself is a major thing. Minor things should not look at. But I was not diabetic before transplant. I became diabetic the day one on the day one of the transplant because of the suppressants we use. That I was told at a later stage. But it's a minor thing, but compared to the other related problems. So I'm practically happy, stable. I hope bigger. Dr. Sonlata told me with this transplant, you will survive for another 20 years. That means another 10 years, I will be happy. even if there is a problem, that's okay. I'm already 70 years plus. It's okay. Now, my message to many people, one should have good habits, healthy food habits, particularly this smoking and drinking. One should be in limits actually. Okay, occasional is okay, get-togethers is okay, but even that, even I was not a smoker. We grow tobacco in Andhra Pradesh, in my area, in my village, in my lands, but I never tasted a cigarette. But occasionally I took drinks in some get-togethers. but that has not, I never, but last 20 years, I have not taken pills too, because the problem I know, even I stopped taking non-vegetarian last 20 years. And other thing is that my other message is that one should go for transplant when there is a chance or occasion to go for it, when there is a donor, whether a live donor or a cadaver, because transplant, once the transplant is done, death risk is somewhat low, what I understand, and one can have a normal life, social life, with taking some good precautions. Then other thing is that the donors, many should come forward. I know one of my CHS employees, one Babji, Dr. Samlata also know, his wife is a kidney patient. She's not getting a donor for the last a few years. And he has been in the list of cadaver donors or something, because nobody from his family is coming forward to donate. I said, luckily, God has given 2 kidneys, 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs. Even if we don't have one kidney, there's no problem. My brother is quite all right. And we have not spent a single rupee on him, on his health, after, after donating kidney. He's okay, but he may be having some other problems, but not related to the kidney donation. So, in fact, I was sent to some of the patients in the wards by medical team. Sachan Garu, can you go and advise that patient, because she is not convinced or he is not convinced about the transplant. I did speak to them, but the problem is that getting convinced them. They think that the transplant means your life is going. If you are donating something, they think, which is not so. So my message is that many people should come forward to donate. With that, I think many lives can be, many families can be happy with the organ donations coming. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Satyanarayana, for sharing your story. But definitely, you're very lucky, and wish you a very, very, very long life ahead. I would now like to move ahead to our panelists and panel discussion. Before going ahead, I would like to invite Mrs. Lalita Raghuram, because she has requested to go first. Lalita Raghuramji, are you? Can you switch on your video?
Yes.
Mrs. Lalita is the country head of Mohan Foundation, and I invite you to take the mic, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this invitation and the wonderful initiative that you have taken. And I know that you were needed initiative. So I would like to talk about my own experience. I have had the experience of counseling more than 200 families when a brain death happens in the hospital, and talking to families and make organ donations happen. And in the process of doing that, I also have the experience of being an organ donor family myself. I lost my 19-year-old son to a car accident in 2004, and he was declared brain dead. And we donated all family. And as a person working for organ donation, just like you said, the patients are important, and patient organizations have to be patient-centric. It's equally important for all of us to create an experience for the organ donor family, which leaves a lasting legacy. In the corporate parlance, we all talk about customer delight, or to create an experience that will be everlasting. So while we're talking about brain death and coming up with a uniform declaration of Death Act, I just want to tell you that when we counsel the families, the first thing that we will have to do is to talk about brain death itself, because it's not in public knowledge. And then we talk about organ donation. So we have two roles to play about brain death, and we also have to talk about organ donation. So bringing about a uniform law is very, very important. Just as recent as day before yesterday, Goa had a donation. And there is an article, a letter to the editor to Deccan Herald, written by some gentleman saying that in 2015, somebody was declared brain dead after being on ventilator for 6 months. And I believe the father of the local church visited, and then this person, he did some prayers, and this person woke up and she is absolutely normal. For all you know, it may be coma and not brain death. So what I'm trying to say is there is an important education need for educating people on what brain death is and what coma is, and that brain death is irreversible and coma is reversible. So that's something that we all have to work on. And uniform declaration of death, very, very important. I have myself witnessed several cases where when the family says no to organ donation, there is a huge dilemma on what to do next. Some doctors will say no, some doctors will say yes, and for even doing apnea test. In my travel, I travel all over the country, so I know there are some states who take consent even to do an apnea test. So we have to bring about uniformity in the rules that we make. And the last thing that I also want to say is very, very important. The whole experience of declaring brain death and the whole process of organ donation has to be so seamless that the families will feel gratified that they have done something good to the society. Most of our organ donors, at least 70% of our organ donors, are road traffic accident victims. So they will have to go through post-mortem formalities. They have to go through about how to get a death certificate. We have an LIC premium with the policy. We have a LIC policy. How can we claim the policy? Can we get a death certificate? So we see that in some states there is complete knowledge about this. In some states there is absolutely lack of knowledge or very little knowledge. When we put all the states and union territories together, only 15 states in India are actually active in organ donation. So whatever we do, I think we all have to work towards creating a process which is seamless, create an experience for organ donor family. We've had so many families, especially in Telangana, where they themselves have come forward to make an organ donation without even having been approached by the transplant coordinator or the doctor. They have programs that have been initiated. So it's important that we create that experience for the organ donor family. That will have a ripple effect. We've had several families where we've had second organ donation also. So we have to work towards creating that process which is seamless and create that customer delight in this field, the organ donor families. So that will leave a lasting legacy for the organ donation movement. Create this momentum has to pick up all over the country so that all the states in the country become active. There are so many states, especially the East and the Northeast, where there is absolutely no organ donation at all. So we will have to work with those governments also to initiate this program, because all those patients are traveling to Hyderabad, Chennai, or some are going to Mumbai and Delhi. But the list is not reducing in any way, it's only growing. When I started with Mohan Foundation, we only had about, people who were 40 plus who were
Lalita, we are not able to hear you very clearly. We are not able to hear you very clearly.
But we now see young children needing, young people need heart. So multiple organ waiting list. We have an organ. Oh, okay. Okay. So let me do the other panelists.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Lalita. I think you've brought home very important points. Organ donation begins from the family. You've talked about creating an experience for organ donor families. I think that is very important. Uniform determination of that is an issue that I think we've been now hearing and raising for a while now. I would now like to go over to Dr. Swarnalata, whose name we've been hearing in this session today many times. You've obviously done a tremendous amount of work. She's also a principal speaker today, and she's in charge of Jeevan Daan, a cadaver transplant program by the government of Telangana, and also a nephrologist at NMS Hyderabad. Dr. Swarnalata, welcome, and please go ahead. You may have to unmute yourself first because you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Sundararajan Garu. It's my pleasure to be part of this program. I really appreciate the organizers for taking this topic for discussion, because this is the need of the hour. Now, coming to my experience, so as I have been given a few topics to be covered, I think I can divide this into three, major players. One is the awareness by the public. Second is the policy making by the government or the law or the act or the regulation. And third is the professional bodies. So coming to the awareness among the general public, I think our state has made a major decision in including this organ donation in the 10th class state syllabus. So I think next generation would know about this organ donation. When I go to schools, because I have been taking part in this all various the awareness programs among the schools and colleges, I find the young so enthusiastic. I start with a half an hour lecture, but the enthusiasm they have, it goes on to, a day also. So most of the time teachers has to interrupt, say, it's time is up, and then you have to stop. So that's the enthusiasm we see. So I think next generation would all know about the organ donation. The teachers would know, and the parents would know. So that is the most important, I think, a powerful tool for awareness. So if this can be incorporated at a national level, so along with the science and the maths or the other subject, the moral, the science we learn in the school, if it is inculcated at an early age, that would bring on a major change, I believe, in the country about the awareness. And the second important thing I would recommend is the religious, because India is a secular state where we have like a lot of religions. If the religious scholars can be sensitized about the organ donation, that will again take a long way in creating an awareness. And actually, what we have been doing practically. So what we have seen is, particularly in Hindu, like it's 50-50%, Christianity, again, it's like more than 50% the acceptance for organ donation. And Muslim is a community, the acceptance is very less. So we have tried to sensitize the religious scholars. We have actually have various sessions with the Muslim religious scholars. And in fact, after that, we have seen, donations happening even in the Muslim community. So these religious scholars, sensitizing them would bring a major change in the organ donation. And third, of course, what I can suggest, which has been followed in various countries, is the organ donation, pledging during the driving licensing issue, or the Aadhaar card. Aadhaar card is a must for every citizen. So even that is, I think, a major step in creating an awareness. Recently, our experience is that we see most of the donations are coming from the villages, the remote villages, where the awareness is not there. And though they are, they have that interest and they are enthusiastic in donating the organs, but they are afraid that when you go back to their villages, their co-villagers will try to, take it in a wrong way, that they have sold their organs. So what we have recently started a program called condolence program. So we go to their villages at their own place. We try to honor those, the donor family in the presence of their own villagers. We take the local leader and the police people also. That we make them a real hero in their own people, within their own people. So that has created actually a major change, particularly in a village level, a grassroots level, because we see there's a two basic, type of, public we see. One is educated, they are very well aware the organ donation. We don't have to, make them aware or do the awareness program for them. What we need is educating the remote villages or illiterate people. So this has created a major change in the awareness amongst the people who are staying in a remote villages. That's about the awareness I want to talk. The second player are the government, either the central government or the state government, whether it's a policy decision, whether it's a law, whether it's an act, and the GEOs. So what I have heard is like Mr. Mahendra Kumar Gara has said that we should have a uniform, a definition of death. So that's in fact is required when you talk about even for the death registry or the birth registry. But when you look at even the scientific community, even among the doctors, there should be a uniform certification of death. What I mean to say is when there's a person is dying of cardiac death, we have to fill a form saying that what is the immediate cause of death, what is the underlying cause of death, whether it's an infection or something. Immediate cause of death is mostly it is cardiovascular. And do we have a comorbid condition? So in that certification, we need to have one more separate column, like was there a brain death? Is it declared? If it is declared, whether it was followed as per the act. The Organ Transplantation Act, the Form 10, which we have for brain death declaration. So was that fill up? And if it is so, whether the family members were counseled for organ donation, whether they accepted, whether not accepted, the reasons for not accepting, so that there is the doctors, while filling the death certification itself, they are sensitized. As of now, what I perceive is it's not only public, even the doctors, even the medical fraternity, they have some, the apprehension, the fear in declaring a brain death. This will de-link the brain death from the organ donation. The main apprehension is when we talk about the brain death, it is always linked to organ donation. Then there is some proper amount of apprehension. So once we do that, every death certification, there should be a column of brain death. So we need to incorporate that so that it can be de-linked completely from the organ donation. That will create some confidence among the doctors themselves. So that one thing I just wanted to, emphasize. And second thing is, of course, the procedural, as per the act, we have a certain procedure for the declaration that should be eased out. Particularly when most of the time what we see is it's very difficult to do the apnea test, which is mandatory. So though we have the ancillary test, so it's very difficult to get all those things done. So it should be like, eased out and we should be able to do a single test, whether it's an angio, whether it's an EEG, whether it's, other ancillary tests, and you should be able to declare. And the doctor should not be blamed for declaration. It's only when we de-link, the doctors will not have that apprehension. They will come forward more confidently. They should be able to do it with easing out the procedural thing. So whenever something, medical legal, something is happening, fraud is happening, the doctor should never be blamed. And then only the policy makers or, the way of allocation or whatever is found at fault, that should be questioned on the doctors. That will bring some amount of confidence. And in fact, brain death mandatory has been done by the Tamil Nadu government. Initially, I think it's been done a few years ago. And then recently this year, the Kerala government and then the Gujarat government has also come up with brain death declaration being mandatory. But again, though the Tamil Nadu government has put it a few years ago, I believe it has been done 2007 or 8. But there's no system to audit that. For example, when a neurologist or neurosurgeon is seeing the patient and he's a brain death, he has to declare it's a brain death. If he doesn't declare, there's no one to verify that he's really a brain death. Even if we bring out the GEOs that it's mandatory, there should be some system, some audit to look into how many actual brain deaths have happened and was it declared and why it is not declared, so that we have certain data. So there should be some audit also to look into all these things. So otherwise, simply bringing those GEOs of getting a brain death mandatory is not going to work out. So this is one more thing I just wanted to emphasize. I think this forum can work on that also at the center level. And of course, another thing is like identifying the retrieval centers. So now the organ donation is only focused at few of the, I can say the the major cities like Hyderabad or one major cities. But it's when you look at the donor pool, it is mostly coming from a district, or the people, even the donor families are mostly from the villages. So what I mean to say is we need to enable the district hospital as a organ retrieval centers. So this can be done particularly at the time of issuing the license to the hospital. So they should be a part of the organ retrieval or centers, or they should be a part of the organ donation center. So that should be done at a mandatory at a licensing level. Or for example, our own state has a Arogyashree. So when they want to empanel themselves, that hospital as a one of the part in the Arogyashree, they should be a part of even the organ donation. Or for example, the Ayushman Bharat at a national level program. So that it's mandatory for them to become a part of this the organ donation. So that is, I think that should bring in a lot of change. And of course, I was trying to look at our own data. So Jeevantan has been, I think, 8 years old now. We have 800 donations till now, brain death donations. And our donation rate is like ranging from 3 per million population to maximum we have achieved it 5 per million population, and giving almost benefiting more than 2,500 people. So I was looking at the data. What I realized is, so most of the donations are coming from the road traffic accidents. Brain death are from road traffic accidents. So if you look at the percentage of road traffic accidents contributing to the donations, it is somewhere ranging from 20% to 80%. If you look at the second decade, most of the donation in the second decade, that is 11 to 20 years, 80% are from the road traffic accidents. So we have to again link the organ donation from the road traffic accident and the trauma centers. So if we can have a link so that this police can also be a part of this program, so they can identify, they'll try to identify this road traffic accident, try to mobilize to nearest the trauma centers. The trauma centers should be enabled to the organ retrieval. This will actually reduce the mortality rate because of accidents. Again, I was trying to look at the data. So we have around last 3 years, I have looked at the data. 3 years we have 63,000 road traffic accidents. Among them, 17,000 were death. Road traffic accident death, that contributes to 30%. And among them, there was only 1.5% turned out to be organ donors. So if you link the police, the trauma centers at a district level, the first degree, like first, second, and third tertiary care, the trauma centers, and will enable these trauma centers as organ retrieval centers, I think we can reduce the mortality because of road traffic accident, and simultaneously we can increase the donation rates. So I think these three should work together and work in a sync, so that there is information flow that this was such accident has taken place, such pace, patient being shifted, and they should be linked to. So we are talking about digital world. It also should be linked through a proper website, because the website again is very important. I'll talk about that in a few minutes later. It's very important. This is when there's a flow of information, and then we get a clear picture that so and so patient is brain dead, or he has been treated, his condition is so and so, he can be shifted from a next level of care. So when there's flow of information, even the doctors have this confidence, and then each of the hospital, these trauma centers are enabled, and it's linked to organ donation. Definitely, it will reduce the mortality rate and increase the donation rate. So that, I think we should work on, with the police and traffic and the trauma centers. So that is another thing. I was talking about the website. So I think Telangana, though Tamil Nadu the first to come up with the organ donation program, I think it was Telangana which has come up with a very comprehensive website called jeevandan.gov.in. So we have a very transparent way of organ allocation, which is purely based upon the recommendation suggested by the various organ committee, and it is done in a very transparent way and an online way. So we have no scope for any hanky-panky or any, jumping the queue, something like that, even for the most wealthiest or the most influential people. So I think that can be, but that is one of the strength of our program. And in fact, this has been adapted by the other adjacent states like Kerala, Karnataka, and then Gujarat also. Recently, they have taken the same website. And for that matter, even the NOTO has taken few inputs from our initially when the NOTO was evolving. Then we have given a lot of the demonstration of a website. So you should have a very clear organ allocation policy, which should be transparent, and it should be very scientifically based. So that will again improve the organ donation. Then will build the confidence among the public. So that was about the policy decision I wanted to highlight. And third, of course, is the professional bodies. That includes even the brain death committees, because I mean, not only public, even the medical fraternity, they don't know how the brain death declaration has to be done. They don't know about the act. So that should be like for the general public, it should be then 10th class state syllabus for the general concept for the organ donation. But for the scientific people like MBBS, I mean, it should be a mandatory in their MBBS curriculum. And while taking, the Hippocratic oath, it should be like, whenever possible, brain death, they come across a brain death, they should be declaring a brain death, and they should be talking about the organ. There's something like, they should become CME points, or whenever the hospital is being licensed, they see that they should have the committee who can declare a brain death, and a coordinator who can actually counsel about the grief counseling, all those things. So these things should be in place when you are considering as a professional bodies. And of course, we should have coordinators, or the counselors are the important part. We don't have any structured program for the coordinators training in any of the program in the university. So that should be, I think, should be incorporated. As a Jeevandan, we are trying to conduct a regular coordinator training programs in our through our Jeevandan program. So, and these are things I think at a professional level they should be taken care of. So, I mean, apart from this, I just wanted to highlight two more things. One is like, most of the time when we talk about the organ donation through family pharma, the most important point which comes out is, some benefits of the donor family, I think, which is a very sensitive issue. And of course, I think one of the subsequent panelists is talking about that. I don't want to, discuss more into that but I think that is a very sensitive and is important, which need to be addressed. Will be definitely going to influence the organ donation program in the coming days. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonalata. You've raised very, very important points, but I think one or two of them about honoring the patients, the donors' families going to the rural villages. I think that's a fantastic initiative. Congratulations for all the good work that you're doing so far.
Thank you.
Moving on. Professor Bijon Mishra has requested to go first, so I'll kindly invite him to come on the mic and be as brief as possible, sir. He is a public health expert, a founder at Partnership for Practice of Safe Medicines.
Thank you.
Sir, please welcome.
Thank you, Sundar. Thank you, Ravi, for inviting me. Congratulations to Institute of Medicines and Law for organizing this and inviting me. I feel very happy to be here. You see, there are 4 questions which have been raised to me to address. One is what individuals can do to encourage organ donation. Well, I think donation comes very voluntarily, and the only way you can do it is to create some kind of an inspiration and get personalities who would inspire and would have been donors. But of course, I would always say that nobody should know who is a donor and who is a recipient. It should be as confidential as possible. But of course, I met 2 very great personalities, Mr. Venkata and Satyanarayan ji, and both, one got it and one is waiting. So we all understand the demand and the supply issue. You see how we should go about. And as I very rightly said, my second question, family of the organ donor should be incentivized. Yes, they should be incentivized, and incentivized in a non-commercial manner. How do we do that? We have to ensure that universal health coverage is the solution. And this is what we have been trying to promote. All donor families should come under Ayushman Bharat. They should be brought under that Ayushman Bharat, list. They should be given that kind of an incentive that if you are a donor, your complete healthcare cost will be taken care by the government. You would not have to worry about it. Similarly, the recipients should be brought under Ayushman Bharat. And of course, we are working towards universal health coverage. I don't know how long it is going to take, but we are working towards that. The statutory processes and procedures should be simpler and easier. You see, what I would suggest is all my legal luminaries who are part of this movement, please make a draft bill which you all feel is the best kind of a legislation which can happen in today's context. And we have got also parliamentarians I can see who are passionate on this subject. We should request them to bring it, if necessary, in the private members bill, and we should do a huge amount of advocacy around the white paper which you have published, which is an excellent document. In that document should become our tool for advocacy, and I would suggest that form a small parliamentary group to go ahead with the new look of the law, how it should be, make a draft bill, present it to the parliamentarians, let it go to the health ministry, let it go to the cabinet, and we introduce in the parliament again. And it should be done on top priority, in my view. My last question was the life-changing impact of organ donation or patients waiting for transplant. Here, friends, what I want to tell you all is something very simple. There is a law called Drug Price Control Order, which was in 1995 brought in, and in 2013 it got amended, which collects money which have been overcharged to the consumers, to the patients, and recovered from the citizens. And that money is now to the tune of about 6,423 crores, which is lying in the central government's pool, in the consolidated fund. That money belongs to us. It is the citizens' money. The persons who paid for those medicines which were overcharged, and we got cheated, and the government went ahead to recover it, and they've recovered part of it, which is very minuscule. Today it's not even 1,000 crores they've recovered, but the demand is about 6,000 crores. That 1,000 crores should be spent on doing the Jago Grah Jago type of a multimedia campaign in terms of encouraging people to donate. And technology is the best enabler today, let me tell you. The institute should develop a software where all recipients and all donors, in a very, very strict confidential manner, without divulging their private data, and it should be very secure, should be able to link and make sure that technology becomes the biggest enabler in terms of even helping the police and everybody. Like, for example, not a single case where, I have found in the white paper, huge amount of organs are being lost on time. Technology can play a very, very important role. You all being in Hyderabad, you have all the wizards in terms of technological enhancements and discoveries. In Telangana, use them and figure out how we can develop a software in the interest of the patients. And I am very happy that you all are taking this cause forward. I want to tell you all that I am very much, always inclined, and this is my 40th year of engagement in the country as a common citizen, to empower the citizens and the patients to get quality healthcare and get all the rights as a consumer to get what they deserve, not only as per law, but even more than the law. So I am with you all. At any point of time, you all want to engage me in any manner, I will be more than happy to get involved. Whatever little knowledge I've gathered in my 40 years of journey, including today, which I heard from many eminent speakers, I'm very sorry. You see, I have to leave. I would have loved to listen to everybody. I will try to be with you all as per my timings. And if I leave, don't get offended. It is not that I didn't want to hear you. Please share the summary. And Surinder, I am with you. Please let me know what all role I can play to take it forward in the interest of patients. That has been my mission, and it will continue to be my mission, in the years to come. Thank you very much. I hope I have been able to give some concrete suggestions in terms of taking things forward. Thank you very much.
Professor Mishra, you've always been a very important luminary in this field. Thank you so much, and you've done great work. You've given some very excellent points. Incentivizing the donor family is, of course, important. creation of a draft bill and getting everybody included into Ayushman Bharat and making use of technology. Thank you very much for those wonderful points. Professor Ratna Devi, with your permission, I would want to first invite Mr. Vijay Kumar, the DCP of Police, because I would like to hear his views first and then come to you to ask you questions about the culmination of all this. May I have your permission, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
Mr. Vijay Kumar, DCP, Hyderabad Police, please welcome Vijay Garu. We have heard a lot of questions and comments about the Green Corridor, about stopping of illegal trafficking, and there have also been some comments on identification of victims in accidents and how to share information across so that the organ donation process becomes seamless. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Firstly, I thank Institute of Medicine and Law and Jeevandan for inviting me to participate in this session. The first thing is about Green Channel, providing Green Channel, traffic Green Corridor to the organ transportation and also for the movement of recipients and also the donors. In common parlance, Green Corridor is like a seamless movement of vehicles on road. This becomes a critical factor in the ecosystem of organ transplantation in this country because of the nature of traffic in metropolitan cities, the nature of our road networks, and the driving behavior of our public. So given this challenge, traffic police, particularly the traffic police in metropolitan cities like Hyderabad, have great challenge in meeting the time requirements of the organ transplantation processes. In Hyderabad, for example, in last 3 months, Hyderabad Police and Hyderabad Police. In Hyderabad, we have 3 police commissionerates, Hyderabad, Cyberabad and Rajkonda. Mostly, most of these organ transportation routes fall in Cyberabad and Hyderabad routes because of the location of these OTC hospitals and also the airport. So, because thanks to COVID, because of lot of IT companies are working from home, traffic is very less on roads. So in last 3 months, we have catered to the movement of organs in 5 occasions. On 5 occasions in last 3 months, where we ensured seamless movement of the vehicles. Within very short span of time, there is a maximum possible reduction in travel time traffic situation in this city. It was almost like 50% reduction in the travel time. And that was all due to the coordinated efforts between different police wings and also between the hospitals and Jeevandan officials. So in this aspect, there are 2-3 issues which need focus of all stakeholders. One, I have been always advocating to have a systemic process for requesting any green channel, traffic green channel for movement of organs or for the movement of recipients or donors to various places in within the city or between the cities or from one city in one state to another city in another state. I think now it is all happening in a piecemeal manner with the coordination of some individuals in the hospitals with the known police officers in police department. I think this should be stopped and there should be a mechanism nationwide bringing together all the traffic police in all the big cities on one platform and also all the Jeevandan scheme like initiatives in all other states. And all these hospitals, which are OTCs, on one platform, so that this information flow will be seamless. Then traffic police in any city, for example, the organ is being moved from Chennai to Hyderabad hospital, and the recipient is being called from Mumbai to Hyderabad. This information is given to police by the hospital, some individual in the hospital, to some police officer. Then that police officer and that individual, their discretion will come into picture, and sometimes there may be some communication gaps as well. So a common platform nationwide, at least involving all the traffic police departments of all the big cities, and all the OTC hospitals, and the Jivandan type of initiatives in other states, can all be brought onto a single platform for this seamless exchange of information for the free flow of vehicles. That is one thing. And second is about the role of police in bringing about awareness among the police personnel and officers, and also among the public about organ donation ecosystem. In our recent experiences, wherein I think when Dr. Swarnalatha madam was narrating one incident which happened recently, one of our police personnel, he met with a road accident, and after 2 days, when he was declared brain dead, even at the midnight, when the family and when one section of the family was consenting for the donation, another section of the family was opposing it. Then because of various issues, then in the midnight, our Commissioner of Police, Shri Sajjanar, myself and Jivandan officials, we went to the hospital. We could speak to them, explain them. Then when the police officers intervened, then they started believing that there is no hanky-panky in this, it's a legal scheme. And then they believed, and everybody gave consent, and it happened. And after the donation, we, Jivandan officials, our police senior officers, we all went to the village of the police personnel and participated in the final rituals. So that gave a lot of goodwill to the entire village. Thousands of people were there in the village. They could witness the participation of senior police officers and also the Jivandan officials, and there was a lot of media attention to it. So this kind of gestures here and there would definitely add fuel to the this ever-growing need for organs in the country. But it should become a system. Like police play two important roles, like awareness among the police personnel about organ donation themselves. As human beings, police officers and staff, they should also know about organ donation, and they should understand the legal mechanism. They should understand the whole ecosystem of organ donation that exists in our state and elsewhere in the country. Like in Telangana, we have a very well built, transparent Jivan scheme that should be understood by police officers and staff themselves. And then they should also know about the need for counseling the family, the near relatives of the brain dead person, and also the key role that police play with respect to medico-legal issues during the organ transplantation. Whenever the possible donor he is involved in some medico-legal case, like some road traffic accident or some fall from a height or any other such unnatural death situations, wherever the investigation is there, wherever the medico-legal aspects are there, the need for police officers to understand that they should be present there round the clock. In Telangana, we have GO 184 of 2010, which clearly says that the police officers should be available round the clock at the OTC, helping the committee of the organ retrieval to help them in seamless retrieval of the organs once the consent is there from the family members. So these aspects relate to police, and other aspects where police can play a big role is in creating awareness among the general public. Public in India, in our experience, my personal experience, says that given the socio-economic and political situation in our society, it is a very multicultural, multidimensional, very heterogeneous society with a lot of different belief systems. So when people, even when they inside, internally inside, they want to donate organs also for magnanimously, but due to social pressures within their locality or within their village or within their community, they would be outwardly they would be hesitating. But when that is one part, and second part would be their lack of understanding about the legal mechanism and the legal sanctity for this kind of scheme. Like for Jeevan Dan scheme is there, it is very transparent. But still, what I feel is among the huge population in our society, people do not know an iota of anything about this scheme. When they don't know about these legal procedures and the legal ecosystem, then they start thinking that there will be this kind of, because thanks to popular films and popular culture showcasing organ commercial dealings in organ mafia, all these things over a period of time, people believe that if they donate organ, some big fellows will get these organs and it will not help poor people. This kind of misconception is there largely among the rural population and even in urban population also, because of their lack of these understanding of the legal structure, the transparent structure that exists, for which legal sanctity is there, legislative sanctity is there. So in this aspect, police have a key role, because when police intervene in any of these kind of issues, people believe that there is the sanctity of the state and there cannot be any hanky-panky happening in this. And people will start believing primarily. So police have this important role in making people understand about the humanitarian angles involved in Jeevan Dan organ donation, and also the transparent legal mechanism that exists in the state or in the country for donating organs, wherein it will not be misused and wherein no commercial aspects are involved, so that anybody can feel proud in donating organs and helping the fellow human beings. And third and most important aspect where traffic police or any police play important role is, as Dr. Swarnalata madam was narrating in her lecture, these road traffic accident cases. As of now, there is no mechanism which links, there is no platform which links these road traffic accident cases, the data of road traffic accident cases, real-time data, with the trauma centers and also with the Jeevan Dan scheme. Even in Telangana, we don't have this platform as of now. But in Tamil Nadu, they have one initiative known as Tamil Nadu Accident and Emergency Care Initiative, TAEI, a platform built by Tamil Nadu Police in association with IIT Madras. I think when we visited Tamil Nadu last year, we understood that the National Highways Authority of India, under MORTH, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, is thinking of replicating the same kind of platform nationwide, which would link police, preliminarily police and trauma centers, so that seamless information about the occurrence of road traffic accident will be passed on to the network of trauma centers that are there as part of the platform. Once this is done, then as third entrant, the Jeevan Dan mechanism, organ donation initiatives of the different state governments can be roped in, so that this tripartite agreement between police, trauma centers and Jeevan Dan type of initiatives of different states will definitely help in seamless exchange of information, which will further lead to the counseling, identification of the possible death cases, counseling, and then getting the consent for probable organ donation. So need of the hour is a platform, common platform, linking the police, trauma centers, and Jivandan schemes. And in RTA cases, like for example, in Telangana itself, more than 7,000 people die every year in road traffic accident cases. In India, more than 1.5 lakh people get killed in road accidents every year. Major portion of these deaths happen while undergoing treatment in the hospitals. Large percentage of these deaths happen in hospitals while the injured persons are undergoing treatment. So this stresses the need for having focus on these injured persons undergoing treatment due to road traffic accident cases in various hospitals in the country, and all the trauma centers, whether it is private or public, linking them, getting the information, and linking all the organ transplantation center hospitals and all the counselors, so that identification of such brain death cases would become easy. As of now, the biggest hurdle for organ donation is not having the right information at the right time with respect to road traffic accident cases in the country. So this can be easily resolved, as I said earlier, with the creation of a common platform nationwide, which would link all these stakeholders. And also, as Swarnalata Madam was telling, the need for establishment of trauma centers at all district levels, at all districts, district headquarters, and designating them as organ retrieval centers in all the possible cases of brain death. That is also another significant requirement. And when we visited 2-3 organ donation processes where the counseling was going on, what we understood was in all these corporate hospitals where they have the OTC corporate hospitals where they have counselors, the biggest issue for these counselors is the language. They will not know the local language. They can't speak to the donor family, and there will be a lot of misconceptions. When a person does not know the local language and he can't speak to the family, then definitely they can't connect to the family and they can't explain whatever is there in their mind, and they can't even get their consent. So this is another aspect that came to our mind in the recent experience that we had. So these were the 4 different aspects that I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vijay Kumar. Those were really great insights. We really depend on all the forces that make organ donation possible. People from the media, if you have any questions, you can keep posting on the chat and I will call you after this. Finally, to our last panelist, Dr. Ratna Devi. First of all, Dr. Ratna Devi is on the chair of the board of directors of International Alliance of Patients Organization. Dr. Ratna Devi, first, thank you very much for very patiently waiting and listening to the entire session. You've obviously heard everybody, right, from people who are enabling this, from Jivandan, from the patients themselves who have both undergone the transplant and who are awaiting. There is clearly a very big gap between the supply and the need of the patients who are awaiting organ donations. With these comments, please, your thoughts on the issue.
Thank you, Sundarajanji. And being the last speaker, there is a disadvantage that all that you wanted to say has already been said. But there's also a big advantage, and I always look at the advantages, that you have to be innovative and suggest something, that is completely out of the box. So having said that, we did hear a lot about the gaps between people wanting a donor to give an organ and the people who are willing to give the donation. And we've also heard about all the challenges. Now, the two morning stories from the patients who were Venkat Garu and Satyanarayan Garu brought to focus very important aspects of patient stories, leading to behavior change. All of us who listen to their stories learn two very valuable lessons. One is that if you get a donation at the right time, you can actually live a near normal life, and you can enjoy with your family and friends and manage your life, as if nothing has happened, with due care, of course. And then we had another story where the person is waiting for 6 years, which is really, really traumatic, both for the person as well as for the family. So how do you get these stories out into the public to reduce that gap? And when we talk about the gap, it's not only the gap for the number of organs that are available. And here the stories were about kidney, which is slightly better situation. But if you talk about transplants, like say the lung, liver, or any other organs, it is even more worse. The gap is even bigger. And the fear or the fear psychosis that exists in people about these organs. I mean, kidney is really more in flavor because a lot of patients are there who have received it, and there are success stories that people can relate to. But if you talk about a heart transplant or a liver transplant, there aren't many stories that come out into the public. And most often you don't hear, positive stories. And the big question is, who can live if you are giving away a heart or if you're giving away your liver, and how does that happen? These questions don't get answered, and there is no public forum or a method for a layman to actually lay hands on this kind of information. So there's the gap between the persons who want to donate and the persons who want to receive is already there. And then there is an information asymmetry, a big gap between what is possible, doable, and what can be actually done by patients and patient families, and how can they then go and do it. So I work a lot with youth, and I have realized that many youth are actually willing to donate, but they don't know who to speak to or where to go. So most often when the whole narrative around donation comes, it's only when the patient is in the hospital. I think we have to shift that narrative out of the hospital to when you are healthy and you want to donate, or you could be a future recipient. We really don't know what is going to happen when I'm 20 years old and I reach the age of 60. So can we prepare our population, saying whether you are a donor or a recipient, can we be prepared at 20? Can we motivate our teenagers? Can we motivate our college students to say, I want to be a donor, so that in future, if I have to be a recipient, I can also receive. And this then has to be translated into, and Professor Bijan mentioned something about inclusion into healthcare. But I would say that there has to be something that is linked to social justice. So if a student is willing to sign a donation form, can he get some extra points for education, for admission into a college or something? Something like, you have a sports quota. Can we have a donors quota? Something like that, so that the number of people who are willing to donate in the event something happens where their organs can be used becomes so big that even if half of the families of those people who have volunteered do not agree for some reason, there is still another half that is actually going forward and doing it. And also, if there is a large enough number of people who are actually pledging, then there could be a system by which we bring positive stories like Mr. Satyanarayan to speak to them, so that the other larger extended family who may not be agreeing to these youth's viewpoints can be converted. And that way, what will happen is we then expand the pool of people who are actually donating, and we don't have this big gap of the people waiting and looking forward to somebody who can actually donate an organ. The second thing, and again, a lot of people, Dr. Swarnalata, Vijay Kumar Garu, everybody said, is about a common website where all the information and data is there. And we know that migration is very big in our country. Lots of families are not really there where the children are, or most of these youth migrate for education and other opportunities. And if they meet with an accident, how do you manage to get the family to complete the formalities? Can there be digital mechanisms to take these consent, or counsel over a phone, or use telemedicine? We don't know. Maybe those things are there that needs to be explored further. And can we then use that as a formal mechanism so that these children or other people who are accident victims can actually donate their organs? And then there is this whole issue about patient's voice being at the center of decision making. We know that the patient cannot be, if they are a trauma victim in coma, but before they become a victim, can they be a part of the decision making process? And in that sense, can we have survivors as well as donor families part of the system? So if there are technical bodies, if there are policy making bodies, can we have a patient voice embedded there, who's also driving the whole system and creating that policy atmosphere which is positive? And then this voice can lend credence, because this whole trust deficit issue that is there is because there is no patient voice. If there is a donor who has had a positive experience and a recipient who has had a positive experience sitting in that technical committee, then that trust increases, because then people say, okay, there are people who are with real experience sitting there, and they will not, because they have gone through this process, they will not allow anything untoward to happen, and we are in good hands. So how can we bring these people into all these technical bodies at state as well as the national level? And to be able to do that, can we create a credible patient group or a patient voice or a patient body, which can then, unite all these voices that are being represented at the state and the national level, so that they are speaking the same language and they have the same information that they can share with each other. And that patient body is then given some kind of status, so that they can then be the ones who are transmitting the information or doing the awareness generation activities, or working with youth and colleges and other mediums to bring the awareness generation to a much larger section of the population. Because let us not forget that when awareness generation happens from a hospital, it is to a very small, captive population. It's not to the general public. And unless the government comes up with a general awareness program about organ donation, this is not going to really reach the masses. So how do we use the power of youth and the power of patient bodies and patient groups to reach the messages to the masses? Maybe that's an opportunity that we need to explore. And lastly, we do know that most of the transplant surgeries happen in the private sector. And this is for two reasons. One, because many of these private sector hospitals have got state-of-art facilities, and therefore the trust that the quality of the procedure will be much better than the government is somewhat embedded in the people's minds. Most people, if you ask them, will say, no, if I have to go a higher level of surgery, then I would trust a private sector hospital than a government, unless it's an institution like All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So how do we build that trust that, yes, you have the same quality that can be made available in a district level or a state level medical college, and that the team there is as competent as the private sector? Because unless you do that, even if you create all kinds of centers, nobody will go. And we have seen that time and again for many, many procedures. Even for something as simple as family planning, people don't prefer to go to the public sector hospitals. They will go to a private sector even though there is incentivization. So if there is so much of mistrust about the quality of care in the public sector, you can do everything about the policy, about brain death, about everything, but people will still not go. And I think for a population like India, we have to build that trust in the public sector, so that people then go there and more surgeries happen, and that confidence is built in the public sector. And I think, again, there the patient voice and the patient groups can play a very, very important role. So I'll stop there, and I can take questions if there are any. Thank you.
Dr. Ratna Devi, thank you very much. As usual, you brought out pearls of wisdom and very new points at the end of the session. Thank you so much for your points. So we are now at the end of our session. Before we end, if there are any questions from the media, we will take them. Puneet, if you want, you can unmute all participants. Meanwhile, I would like to thank our chief patron, Dr. Bhagwat Karajji, Member of Parliament, who has kindly agreed to be the patron for this entire series of awareness program in organ donation. And he will be taking up some of these points also to the Parliament and to the requisite bodies at the end of this series. I would like to thank Justice Ravi Tripathi ji. He could not attend because of a personal exigency. I don't see any questions from the media. If anybody wants to, you can please unmute and talk. Mr. Agasti Matre, meanwhile, kindly get ready. All right. So dear panelists, this was a wonderful, wonderful session. Thank you so much for joining today and giving your valuable time, and a lot of great points have come out of today's session from Hyderabad. Mr. Agasti Matre, I would now like to invite you to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sundararajan. Dear participants, dear viewer, we had a good session today. It was stretched slightly afar, but overall we had a really good session. There are very insights from Department of Police, insights from the patients group, insights from the people, from the NGOs. Those are organ donation. I thank you all the participants, all our viewers, to making this event a good success. Thank you, everybody. See you in a next one.
Thank you. That was our Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Agasti Matre. With this, we bring the session to an end. Thank you so much, everybody. We can now close the session.